lifestyle. They think it's a healthy way to live.
Right.
And then there are evangelical Seventh-day Adventists who feel more kinship with other evangelicals, and they believe that all of their atoning was done by Jesus, that there's nothing that they can do to earn salvation. So there's not as much emphasis on the distinctive practices and beliefs of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Instead, they feel more in common with other evangelical Christians, except they do tend to follow Seventh-day Adventist practices. They just don't put as much theological meaning on them. So my dad was an evangelical.
Oh, okay.
I was raised in a world that was kind of split between evangelical and traditional. And then in Southern California, kind of the headquarters of liberal Seventh-day Adventism.
Oh, is the ones I'm meeting out in Loma Linda?
Well, I would
liberal?
say many of them are liberal.
Okay.
And then some are traditional. So if they strongly believe in the distinctiveness and chosenness of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, then they're more likely to be traditional.
Because I remember, specifically that one woman said to me that she was working there at a company I was at, and she was like, she was telling me she worked out with the company. She does not work Friday nights or Saturdays.
Right.
She can't even wear a pager. And I'm thinking, what, are you from?
This is the best book on Seventh-day Adventism if anyone wants to read about. It's from two ex-Seventh-day Adventists, so there's nothing in this book proselytizing Seventh-day Adventism, nor, on the other hand, is it a slam on Seventh-day Adventism. It's a very neutral, dispassionate elucidation of what the Seventh-day Adventist Church is all about. Its history mentions my father half a dozen times.
Really?
It's well read. It's written by a professor of aesthetics at Oxford, so he's got a really good feel for the Seventh-day Adventist look and aesthetic, in addition to the theology, the lifestyle, the history, the politics, the pay scale within the church. The church is a very feminine church. Women disproportionately outnumber men. The ethos is very feminine. So if you kind of want to know how it works, this is a great book. I mean, Seventh-day Adventist leaders...
It's funny because I said this woman.
Yeah.
You're probably thinking, well, that's not an accident.
Seventh-day Adventist leaders cooperated.
If there's all these women in it, why'd you leave?
The Seventh-day Adventist women are hot. Like, they got this special kind of beauty that the church uses in its advertising, in a very understated way. But
I gotta tell you, who's hot?
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witness women.
Yeah, and Mormons.
Last year, two Jehovah's Witness missionaries, I guess you call them, came to my door. I opened it up, and they were like the two hottest women I've ever seen come to my door. And I was like, holy, whoa. And they were sitting there talking, and their mouths were moving. I had no idea what they were saying.
Did you invite them in?
No, but I didn't want to let them in because I didn't want to let them see that I was masturbating while they were talking.
Yeah, sometimes women get freaked out.
Yeah, but it was like, they were going like blah, 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 blah. And I didn't know what they were saying. And I was just like, just keep talking. Just stay and don't leave. If I was smart, I would have filmed them. I was like, oh my God. I was ready to convert. I was ready to convert on the spot. I was like, if all the women are like that, oh my God.
So this is like selling some Seventh-day Adventist books. So the headline is Spectacular Offers.
You should show the camera. Show the camera.
Check out the photo of the hot chicks. So Seventh-day Adventist chicks are hot. And the cut line here is, on display in spite of a tradition of female reserve. So modesty is a big deal in Adventism. Adventist marketing departments were aware that an attractive woman could sell even the most sober products.
Was that why the Jehovah's Witnesses sent out women to me?
There probably are many more women. I noticed when JWs go proselytizing, it's mainly women.
Yeah, they were, I could say this, they were really attractive. I mean, like, unbelievable. And they were very, very sneeze.
Mm-hmm.
They were completely covered up, except for, like, their faces, and they were just hot.
Seventh-day Adventist institutions tend to be separated from the rest of the outside world, so tend to be located in country areas. So here's a picture of aerial picture of Andrews University, which is the seminary for Seventh-day Adventism in America. Country idle, the Andrews University campus, physically but not always intellectually isolated from the outside world. So Seventh-day Adventist professors tend to have PhDs from secular universities.
Machla asked if Seventh-day Adventist.
No, JW didn't split off from Seventh-day Adventists, but they started around the same time as did Mormons start around the same time.
Ah.
So this is the great book, Seeking a Sanctuary, Seventh-day Adventism and the American Dream, Malcolm Bull and Keith Lockhart. And then for a twofer.
And you can read this in the bathroom.
Yeah.
This is the beauty. You can actually read this book. It's good bathroom reading.
And here's a biography of my father. Desmond Ford, reformist theologian, gospel revivalist. So let's look for some. So my father is a big Seventh-day Adventist theologian. So there he is, marrying my mother in 1952.
Beautiful.
There's my dad at about my age. Well, maybe that's more my age.
You should show them. They can't see that. They don't know what we're looking at.
So just looking at photos of my father, my family, and where am I? So there I am with my stepmother in England in 1971. And my mother died of cancer in 1970, so there are some photos of her. She went down to like 60 pounds. And there's my dad's inimitable preaching style. Did a PhD in rhetoric, so he's certainly a skilled speaker. And so more photos of my father and my stepmother. Desmond Ford, reformist theologian, gospel revivalist, Milton Hook, the author of this biography. So there we go. So what were your other impressions of Seventh-day Adventists?
That was basically it. You know, I just was speaking with these different people out there, and every time I had a conversation, I always felt like I was talking to a Frumy. You know, it was always Shabbos and Kashrus. And I remember I was working for the OU, and I remember we had 5 million subscribers to the OU mailing list of kosher consumers, right? And of the 5 million, this was 20 years ago. Of the 5 million, most of them were not Jewish. Most of the kosher consumers in America who subscribed were not Jews, and Seventh-day Adventists were a big part of the 5 million. It was mostly Muslims who wanted to make sure that everything was not was parv, so that it wasn't halal. And Seventh-day Adventists wanted to make sure everything was vegetarian. There was a lot of people who were like lactose intolerant and whatever, but I just remember Seventh-day Adventists. That was my first introduction to them. And then I started talking to them, and they keep Shabbos, and they keep kosher, and I'm like, you know, and they said, you know, you can go eat at the hospital, at that, what's that hospital?
Loma Linda.
Loma Linda Hospital. They're telling me I could eat there. They're saying, no problem. We have salads, we don't eat any, you know, check the knives, and I'm like, what? Is that true?
Well, you could. I don't think they have Orthodox Jewish supervision, but you could certainly get vegetarian food.
Right.
It's primarily a vegetarian religion, so and also Seventh-day Adventists tend to be very nice. So
oh yeah, they're all extremely nice people.
Tend to be very polite. They tend to be clean.
Yep.
You know, they're not smelly and dirty and filthy. And they tend to be modestly dressed and modest in their actions. Like, not modest in Orthodox sense, but compared to, they don't wear like miniskirts, and they're not modest when compared to Orthodox Jews, but when compared to secular people, they tend to be modest.
Right.
They also tend to be modest in the way they talk to people and the way they act. They don't go, oh, you got to hear about me and what I did this weekend, man. I was the greatest. I just totally tore them up on, you know, the field or the concert hall. No, they're not like that self-assertive like Jews. Like, you know, Jews will say, oh, you know, I've got the best doctor, or you know, I was the best on Sunday, or my kid was the best, or man, you should read my book, and oh, you got to see my film, you got to watch my Torah talks, you got to read my blog, and it's just, I just totally tore them all up.
You live in L.A. too long.
No, it's Jewish. It's not just L.A.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jews feel really good about themselves. They do. It's part of like being God's chosen people, and it's also because Jews earn their way. Like Judaism, even for secular Jews, you have the ethos. You earn your way. You study hard. You act. You produce. And when you have the attitude that you earn your way, you feel good about yourself.